Welcome to the Melbourne University exam session. I'm Kim Lannon. I've been with the university for 15 years, supervising the examinations for those 15 years. It's an excellent job. We'll have a good time there, but it is very important that we do the right thing. The most important thing about being an exam supervisor is you are there to assist the students. We create the right environment, a good environment for the students to be able to do the best they can in their exam. The first thing the exam supervisor does when they arrive is to arrive on time so we can get all the papers out before the students come in. You sign on at the senior supervisor's desk. You'll get the attendance forms, put the attendance forms out on the desk first, up in the top right-hand corner. Then the senior supervisors will give you a sheet with a list of seat numbers where you'll put exam papers down. And it's very important that you only take the exam papers with that corresponding exam number to put on your tables. You could have, say for example, Japanese 1 and Japanese 2. They might look very, very similar, but they will have slightly different numbers. They will be sitting on the table next to one another. It's important you take the right ones. Then when you bring them back, it's important that you put them back on the correct pile. So you need to look at your chit number and look at the exam number, then look at the number of the papers that you're putting them back on. And you also never take the last paper so that everyone knows which exam that one is. After you've put out all the papers, the supervisor will then give you a check sheet and you'll go around and do 2 or 3 rows where you check that the correct exam papers have been put out. If the exam papers are put out correctly, it'll have exam paper where you'll be able to read the exam number, and then across them will be the multiple purpose answer sheet and script books. Keep them inside the desk so that someone walking past is not going to brush them. Sometimes they require more than one script book. You place them slightly apart so you can read the letter on the script book. After that, the students will be let in. As the students come in, it's supervisor's responsibility to assist the students to find their seat. And nothing worse than having a student sit down at a wrong seat. They'll start getting panicky and say, "This is not my exam paper." So the first thing is to get all the students to sit in the right seats. There's quite enough time to do this. Within reading time's 15 minutes. During this reading time, all supervisors will have a chit of the desk that they pick up from. Their responsibility is to walk up and down that one particular aisle of their pickup from their chit and check that there's no unauthorised materials on the desk. If there is, just place it on the floor. If later on during the exam that has gravitated back to the desk, then you only then take it off the student and put it down on the unauthorised material desk located next to the senior supervisor's table. You put the seat number on it and let the student know they can pick it up later. After the exam has commenced, all supervisors will be given a room check by the senior supervisor. As you go along the seat numbers assigned to you, you need to check that the correct student is in the correct seat. It's not just a tick that there is a student in that seat. You need to check against the list you have and the student's ID card that the correct student is in that seat. Then you need to check the student's materials, the exam paper, the script book and the multiple choice answer sheet, that the student has written the correct student number on all of these items. Just as the exam starts, an announcement is made. All students with any unauthorised material on them, please raise your hand and give it to a supervisor. If someone does raise their hand, you accept that material from them and just say to them it'll be able to be picked up at the end of the exam from the senior supervisor's table. And you take their seat number, put it on the items and put it down the back. There's no problem with that. A lot of students will have study notes for the tram or train and forget they're in their pocket. So if they hand them in during reading time, that's what we want people to do. We'd just like all supervisors to be aware that a lot of students are very busy, even during reading time or during their exam. And the last thing they're going to think of doing is raising their hand very high. This is often what you'll get. So you really do need to be on the lookout, because if you're on the left or behind, you will not see it. And the most common complaint from students during exams is the length of time it takes a supervisor to come to them with their query. Once the reading time gets underway, if you have a query, a general query, supervisors can answer it. If it's a specific inquiry about the nature of an exam question, you refer it to a faculty member. Faculty members will be there during the reading time. After the exam starts, often there's no faculty member there. You note the seat number, the time, the exam number and the exam question. You take it all down and write it in the question book, which will be located on the senior supervisor's table. We have one person or two, but usually one person who will handle questions, the idea being that all students get the same answer and there's a consistency across all students. If the same question keeps coming up, they'll already know the answer. If it's just about general items, if they want to go to the toilet, if they need a pen, pencil, something like that, the supervisor can handle it themselves. One of the secondary responsibilities of exam supervision is deter and detect. As you're walking up and down the aisles, you must be able to observe all students at all times, and over time, supervisors will learn to deter and detect those students who have unauthorised materials and who are engaging in academic misconduct. By looking at the student's desk, looking at their body language, over time you'll be able to understand the students who are doing their examination and those who are keeping their eye out for supervisors to engage in academic misconduct. Towards the end of the examination, an announcement is made for the last 15 minutes of the exam. All supervisors are required to walk the aisle where their pickup sheet is in to make sure that every desk has either a student and exam paper on it, or an early leaver form and exam paper, or an absent form. There must be something on every table. If there's a table with nothing on, you will need to speak to the senior supervisor to ascertain why not. At the end of the exam, everybody gathers together at the front and you'll pick up your papers from your chit. The number sequence is the low number is on the top of your pile, the higher number is at the bottom of your pile. You are required to pick something up from every table. If it's not an exam paper, there should be an absent form there. There's no hurry, take your time, do it correctly, pick something up from every table. If there's nothing on the table, there must be an absent form. And when you get down to the back, we put everything into the bags. 2 people must do every bag. One person will read the numbers out from the exam paper. The second person will check that off against the numbers written on the bag. Once again, take your time. It's important that the right papers go inside the right bags. When all bags have been completed, all exam papers have been picked up, the senior supervisors will notify the person making the announcements and students will be dismissed from the exam room. And finally, there are no silly questions. Please feel free to ask any of the senior supervisors or any supervisor who've been working at the university for some years. They'll only be too happy to help you.